Currently, we're a nonprofit in the state of Ohio. You can look us up, and People Against the NDAA is a listed nonprofit here. We just haven't got tax-exempt status back yet.
Can you explain real quick the third category that the NDAA moved forward as under the law of war?
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, sure. So this is real interesting. International laws of war were first started with the Geneva Conventions. And the Geneva Conventions, they created two categories: combatants and non-combatants. Very simple. Non-combatant, you're a civilian. Combatant, you're not. It's real cut and dry. You're under a command structure if you're a combatant. You're taking up arms against someone. And in 2001, shortly after the terror attacks of 9/11, the Bush Justice Department decided that those two categories were restrictive because both of them prevented torture and both of them prevented extrajudicial assassination. And so they created a new category out of thin air and called it unlawful enemy combatant. Now, a unlawful enemy combatant you could take from the combatant category. So now you could take combatants who originally had some protection under the law of war, like you can't be tortured, you can't be executed, etc. And you could take some people who are in combat and just execute them or torture them or what have you. And they enjoyed that. And in 2009, Council on Foreign Relations got together and they told Congress, you should reform this, change this, and change the name because it's too restrictive. It only allows us to take from the combatant category. And so they changed the name from unlawful enemy combatant to unprivileged enemy belligerent with the Military Commissions Act 2009. First of all, that implies your rights are a privilege and not unalienable. And second of all, now they can take non-combatants and combatants and call them unprivileged enemy belligerents. What was Anwar al-Awlaki called? An unprivileged enemy belligerent. Why do you think they use Belligerent Act in NDAA? You're in a category that was created to torture and used to execute. That's the category of the law we're currently under. Any other questions?
What do you make of the way this administration once captured people at Guantanamo Bay tried in our courts?
The interesting thing about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights especially is you will never find the word citizen in the Bill of Rights. And that's for a reason. Now, it doesn't protect the entire world, of course, but it protects the United States soil, United States protectorates. And Guantanamo Bay is one of the United States protectorates. The military does what they need to do under the international laws of war to defend our country. And we have 130-something military bases where I'm sure they hold people and detain people, and they can continue to do so. It's foreign soil, it's under the law of war, they follow the status of the law of war, and they work with the law of war. However, Guantanamo Bay is on U.S. soil. And on U.S. soil, the reason the Constitution has the word person in it is because two reasons. Number one, to say citizen implies that your rights are dictated by a legal mandate. So if the government says, well, you're not a citizen, then you don't have any rights. Your rights are inalienable. It doesn't matter what your government says. And this idea that you have to be a citizen in order to have rights here in America is what led to the Enemy Expatriation Act. It was introduced, it died, thankfully, it died a hard death. But the Enemy Expatriation Act, by a representative in Utah, would have allowed the president to strip the citizenship of any person, and they assumed, therefore, their rights if they were considered a suspected terrorist. Fit very well in NDAA. Number two reason is you walk into a court and you present your papers and say, I'm a citizen. And the court goes, well, those are fraud, fake. How do you prove you're a citizen? You can't. Those are government documents, and the government can refuse to recognize their own documents. They don't often do it, they can. That's what they did during the Founders' Day. But if you walk into a courtroom and the judge says, well, you're a dog, the jury's going to laugh him out of the courtroom. That's why we have person in our Constitution, and that's why if they're going to take people, they're going to call them terrorists. You either go under the law of war or you go under the Constitution. There's no in between. If you're going to go under the law of war, outside America, because this law allows you to be taken to Guantanamo Bay. So in Guantanamo Bay, the facility, if they're going to hold people without trying them in that facility and hold them under the military, because I'm sure you love Dianne Feinstein, but she commissioned a GAO study, and they said, okay, the Bureau of Prisons has no authority over Guantanamo Bay. It's not a civilian prison. So we're going to hold them under military authority, hold them under the law of war, hold them outside this country. We're going to hold them under civilian authority, which is to protect the rights of the people. Then give them a trial in a civilian court on U.S. soil if you're going to do that. There's no in-between, because once you allow an in-between, you allow them to call you and say, you don't have any rights, and this person doesn't have any rights, and that person doesn't have any rights. If one of us doesn't have rights, none of us do, because they can define that to include all of us, and that's what they're doing under NDAA. Oh, college groups are so much fun. Oh yeah, I've spoken to a couple, and I'm actually going out to California and be doing a Northern California trip. They got a big speaking tour arranged for me out there, so I'll be speaking to several colleges out there. But college kids, I mean, it's great to have a young person in the audience. When I was at Westlake Tea Party, now you saw him, Joe, at Westlake Tea Party, a young man named Jeff was in the audience, 17 years old. Lively. It's great to have them in the audience. And one of the things I think my generation, if you speak to them in their language, they get it. If I'm going in front of a college, this is much shorter or isn't happening. I'm showing videos. I'm showing animations. I'm speaking to them in their language. And one of the things I'm asked, and I think this is the trend, one of the things I'm asked usually if I go to like a tea party and speak, is, well, how do you get your generation involved? Well, I was at the Northwest Ohio Conservative Conference, and I was asked this question several times. It was the first speech I ever gave on NDAA. The room was packed. It was amazing. There was 400 people in the room. And I was asked that question several times, like, these dang kids are always texting on their cell phone, never looked up, never talked to you, and always on their social media and Facebook and all this stuff. And the thing I said was, well, instead of trying to teach someone a different language, speak to them in their language. You want to reach out to young people? Audio-visual. Text reminders for meetings. Get someone in here that engages them in language they understand instead of trying to teach them a new language. Most people my age, we will pick up the phone and call, but not often. Mostly texting, mostly Facebook. Have a Facebook group set up. Create videos of these meetings and put cool animations in there. And this is how you attract the younger generation. This is how you attract the young people. And it got to be short too. Yeah, it can't be long. It can't be very detailed. All they need to know is a little bit of information. Get the video. It's all about presentation. Why do you think President Obama was able to win the election? He presented himself well. You want to know how to speak to young people? Watch him speak. He presents himself well. He's short and sweet, and there's videos. There's social media. He speaks to us in our language. So to answer the unasked question, I'm sure was in the room here. In order to get the younger generation to come to these meetings, in order to get them around here, speak to them in their language. Any other questions? All right, cool. Thank you very much for having me here.
Do we have any announcements? Anybody have, Scott?
After the meeting, there'll be a short meeting for preparedness. If anybody's interested there, the emergency list, contact list, because of things.
Scott started an emergency contact list, and I know they're going to need this room kind of quickly, so if you can meet downstairs, that would be great. I saw another hand over there.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a quick comment. A lot of us are voting on November 5th. I made a promise to the face of the superintendent of Westlake City Schools that I will never, ever, ever, as a taxpayer again, vote for another levy until Common Core is out of our schools. I made that promise. And when you go outside, you will be absolutely stunned because my car is a rolling billboard which is not illegal in this country. And it says on my back windshield a statement that even Kermit the Frog could say on national television. I'm tired of bureaucratic bullfroggers feeding me flies all the time. I'm asking you, no, I'm begging you, for my granddaughter's children, say no to all levies. The school system has gotten out of hand in that they are addicted, and what they are addicted to is money. And the federal government entrapped them into Common Core by offering them up money to support No Children Left Behind. This isn't about children, it isn't about money, it's about an indoctrination process, which was spoken about there. If you don't learn from history, history will repeat itself. And ladies and gentlemen, my own father landed on the beaches of Normandy, fought his way all the way into Berlin, and was killing 7- and 9-year-old children who were Hitler youth, indoctrinated by teachers prior to World War II to follow Adolf Hitler. My father would be standing here and telling you this story, except for it came to me by my grandfather, because my father was burned to death when I was less than a year old. Fought all the way across Europe, fighting Nazi Germany, only to come home and die in an industrial accident. And I'm doing this for my granddaughter's children, because I do not want them to be indoctrinated like sheep in a flock for huge corporate government or huge corporate business or huge corporate unions. This is what Common Core is all about. And if you don't get it, I just told it to you. Look into it. Do your own research. I love the guy. I love the guy because he tells the truth, and his name is Glenn Beck.
Oh, yeah.
Glenn Beck says to you all the time, look, I'm just an individual like Glenn Beck. I'm just speaking about something here. You got to do your own research. You have to be the one to vote to mark no on that levy ballot. You got to be the one to say, you're not using my tax dollars to support that. And you have to do it as an older person, because we have a lot more wisdom than younger people, but you have to do it knowing that you're doing something right. And you gotta go and stand in front of the superintendent of your schools, because he just thinks you're an old person not wanting to spend your money. You gotta go there and you gotta make the same promise I made to the superintendent of Westlake. And let me tell you what happened with my car. Very short story. Less than a week ago, at night, someone walked into my yard, up my driveway, folded a note, and put it underneath the windshield wiper of my car. You know who it was? A teacher. And the teacher made a comment and asked me to, gave me an email. And I emailed that teacher and I told him exactly what I just told you, that I told the superintendent. And I made a promise, and a promise made, as far as adults are concerned, and the way we were brought up, a promise made is a promise kept. And it's not about the process you think it's about making a promise and being a man of your word. Your word is your bond. Okay? And too many Americans in this country, they've lost that. They've lost their backbone to be people of their word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. So, I just want to throw this out there. We got about a week or so before elections come. Think about it. Do your own research. I know what I'm doing because I made a promise. And my promises are kept. Thank you.
As you know, Michelle Matino is really heading that up. In Lorain County, she did a great job to get the dominoes to start falling and the people to understand what's going on. Kelly Coles in Cincinnati has gone all over the state of Ohio and talked to so many groups on her own dime. And I just want to thank those girls for doing what they do.
Lisa,
Yes.
some of the best information on that is put out by Phyllis Shapley's Eagle Forum.
Yes.
It's called the Education Report. You get a hold of a copy of that, it tells you all about Common Core for your head.
You need a button.
No, we can't hear you over here.
Oh, okay. Let's see what else. I don't know if some of you are familiar with Lisa Cook, who started the Pink Gun Shop, Lady Finger Point and Pool. I know she's having a real hard time, and if you've ever been to her shop, she did move more on, she's on 42, but she's in the Medina instead of Brunswick, but real close. You know, give her a visit. She can tell you about some of the problems she's having trying to get her business going. It's kind of interesting. Also, I want to say that Scott has been making some great videos. We'll be putting them up on YouTube. He even interviewed our county sheriff. Also, we are looking for help with our website and also someone who is good at downloading videos to help us work with our website and the YouTube page, Facebook, things like that. We can certainly use some help. So if you know anyone who's handy with that, please send them our way. Our next meeting is November 9th with Roger Beckett from the Ashbrook Center. He's the executive director, and that'll be August 9th. We won't have a second meeting in November, and again, December's the same way. We'll have a meeting on the second Saturday of December, but of course, because of the holidays, we don't do the second one. Let's see. Also, Scott was holding a donation bucket. Always appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thank you all for taking your time to come and get educated. And I hope to see you next month.